There are mornings when you wake and simply sit at the edge of the bed, not tired but not ready. You move slower now, not because of age exactly, but because something deeper feels distant. The body is quieter, less certain, and in the silence there's an ache that no doctor ever asks about. Not pain, not illness, just an invisible heaviness, like something important slipped away while you were busy living responsibly. You notice it in small things, the way you look in the mirror, not with vanity but with memory, the way your hands hover over your stomach, the softness that wasn't always there, the way intimacy feels further away, not just physically but emotionally. There's a loneliness that isn't about being alone, it's about being unseen, even by yourself. You used to carry something, a kind of fire, a sense of presence. It wasn't arrogance, it was knowing who you were. But now, you stand in front of the mirror, fogged with steam, and reach up to touch your jaw, not to shave, not to fix, but to remember that man is still there, beneath the fatigue, beneath the doubt. Still breathing, still worthy, still capable of reclaiming something that matters. This isn't about going back. It's about going deeper, because behind every quiet ache is an invitation to slow down. To listen, to finally ask yourself without shame, without defense, what do I still need? To feel whole, not strong for others, not impressive, just whole, and maybe, just maybe, that question is the beginning, not of fixing, but of returning, to the part of you that never stopped hoping someone would notice the ache you carry in silence, and still speak to you gently, like now, when masculine energy begins to fade. You didn't choose to slow down. It just happened, little by little. The fire that once lived in your chest, the drive, the certainty, the quiet confidence began to flicker, not extinguished, just quieter. At first, you brushed it off, blamed it on stress, a few late nights, a shift in routine, but over time, something deeper became undeniable. Energy that used to rise effortlessly now takes effort just to summon, not just the physical kind, but the inner kind, the one that made you feel alive in your own skin, that made you walk into a room and feel like you belonged in it. And perhaps the hardest part isn't the fatigue, but the confusion. You start wondering, is this normal? Am I doing something wrong? You miss the version of yourself who felt driven, desired, centered, but no one tells you what happens when testosterone gently declines, or when circulation shifts, or when your emotional chemistry, the hormones that once gave you edge, presence, vitality, start to move in slower rhythms. It's not a weakness, it's not a failure, it's nature asking you to pay attention. In a new way, masculine energy doesn't die with age, but it does ask to be tended differently, like a flame once fed by gasoline, now requiring something slower, more intentional, more conscious. You are not broken. But you may be underfed, not in food, in touch, in ritual, in connection to the body you've spent decades commanding but rarely listening to. And here's the truth no one tells you. Your masculine energy hasn't left you. It's simply waiting for you to return to it, not with force, but with presence, because at this age, the real power isn't in what you can conquer. It's what you can still feel, and when you learn how to nourish that quiet core again, your body responds. Your confidence rebuilds, your spark returns, not as it was in your 30s, but in a way that's deeper, stronger, and far more rooted. The wisdom of the body and the return of touch. The older you get, the more your body becomes quiet. Not because it has nothing left to say, but because you've spent a lifetime tuning it out. You've learned to push through pain, ignore fatigue, treat your own body like a machine built for output. But now, the engine is slower, not because it's weak, but because it's finally asking you to listen. There's a kind of wisdom in that, a deeper current beneath the surface. The body remembers everything, the moments you neglected it, the times you used it only for function, to perform, to please, to produce. But it also remembers something else, what it feels like to be touched with care, not in a sexual way, not even in a therapeutic way, but in a way that says, I'm here, I see you, I still matter, and this is where the oil comes in, one drop, pressed gently into skin that's grown unfamiliar. A hand placed not in judgment, but in reconnection. Daily oil massage isn't about vanity. It's not a trick. It's not a hack. It's a ritual, a way of saying this body has carried me through so much. It deserves reverence, not resentment. Imagine dry earth after a long drought. You pour warm oil onto it, and the soil doesn't resist. It drinks it slowly, gratefully, not to bloom, but simply to soften again. That's what your body craves, not more pills, not more punishment, but presence. Warmth, attention, because when you begin to touch yourself not with urgency, but with reverence, your nervous system responds. Your circulation wakes up. Your hormones begin to remember their rhythm. And something ancient inside you says, welcome back. You don't have to fix the past. You don't have to fight time. You only have to meet yourself here. Skin to skin, presence to presence, one drop at a time. What a penis surgeon knows that most men never hear. Most men don't end up in a urologist's office until something feels broken. A problem, a dysfunction, a fear they've kept quiet for too long. By the time they speak up, they've already carried shame for months, sometimes years. They believe they've failed as men, as partners, as bodies that once worked without effort. But here's what I've seen again and again: not one of those men was broken. They were just never taught how their body actually works, because no one talks about it. No one explains that, after 60, circulation becomes more than a cardiovascular issue. It becomes a life force issue. Especially down there. Erection quality, sensitivity, even desire, they all depend on blood flow. And blood flow depends on movement and touch. Here's what most men never hear. Daily massage of the pelvic area, especially using warm, natural oils, can help restore vascular integrity, reduce inflammation, and awaken dormant nerve endings. It's not about stimulation. It's about reconnection. You see, the penis is more than a sexual organ. It's a barometer of your inner life. When stress is high, when emotions are buried, when circulation is weak, it reflects that. And oil massage, it's one of the gentlest, most ancient ways to bring the body back online. It improves lymph flow. It nourishes the fascia, the body's connective web. It retrains the nervous system to associate touch with safety, not shame or urgency. This isn't hearsay. It's biology. It's also wisdom passed down in traditions far older than modern medicine. A penis surgeon sees what most men hide, but what he also sees is this: that healing often begins the moment a man decides he's worth tending to. That he doesn't have to wait until something is wrong to care. Just one drop, 1 minute, every day, not to fix, but to remember the body's own language, which has always been touch and time. And trust, ritual over routine, why the oil matters more than you think. You've followed routines your whole life. Shave, shower, work, provide. There's comfort in it, a kind of rhythm, but ritual. That's something deeper. Routines are for function, rituals are for meaning, and at this stage of life, function alone is no longer enough. The oil you hold in your hand each morning, it isn't just a product. It's a moment, a pause, a reclaiming. What happens when you warm it between your palms? Not rushing, not performing, just being with your body. You're not fixing it, you're feeling it. Because the truth is, you can take all the supplements, follow every diet, read every article on natural testosterone, and still feel empty, disconnected. Why? Because the body isn't just waiting for solutions. It's waiting for attention. It wants to know you still live here, that you still care, that you're not just surviving it like a burden, but honoring it like a home. Ritual creates space for that. The oil matters not because it's magic, but because you chose it. Because each time you reach for it, you're saying to yourself, I'm worth this. You begin to know your body again, not as it was, but as it is now. Weathered, yes, but wiser, less urgent, but more present. Still fully capable of awakening with the right kind of care. Picture a man kneeling to polish a pair of old leather shoes. He's not doing it for anyone else to see. He does it because he knows the value of what they've carried. And because they deserve to be tended to, not tossed aside. That's what your body needs, not performance, not punishment, just presence. So the next time you reach for the oil, don't rush. Let it be a moment. Let it be a ritual, because how you touch yourself now will shape how you feel about yourself in the years to come. A new kind of confidence rooted, not performed. There was a time when confidence meant standing taller, speaking louder, doing more. It was sharp, edged, quick, moving, something you performed even if it wasn't always real. But with age, something shifts. That kind of confidence, the one built on proving, starts to feel empty, exhausting, like a suit that no longer fits. And if you're honest, you've grown tired of performing, tired of pretending you feel like yourself when quietly you don't. But there's a different kind of confidence. Quieter, heavier, rooted. It doesn't come from results. It comes from returning to your breath, to your skin, to the slow, wordless place where your body still remembers who you are. This kind of confidence doesn't need approval. It doesn't need to be impressive, because it comes from within, and strangely, it begins with something as simple as oil in your hands, the way you touch your body, the way you care for it, not to fix, but to honor. That daily act, that private moment, it tells your nervous system you are not forgotten, and when your body feels seen, it begins to soften, to open, to circulate again, not just blood, but belief. Belief that you are still capable, still alive, still deeply connected to the man within, even if the world no longer sees him. You don't need to chase youth. You only need to stand in the body you have with reverence, with presence, with a kind of dignity that doesn't shout. But I know, because true masculine confidence is not about how many people notice you. It's about how fully you can inhabit your own skin without apology and without shame. And when that happens, when you stop performing and start returning, you'll realize you didn't lose yourself. You simply stopped listening. But now you've begun again, one breath, one touch, one drop at a time.